It says we're live. What about me?
Okay, YouTube is doing something.
Is it?
It says. Yep, we're good. We're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, but what about the other one? Is the other one coming through?
They're both. Both. I can see both pictures as our screens right now.
That's amazing, that is.
I know. It's technology for you. That's what it is.
By the way, just quickly, 24 hours. That's not next week, week after, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, the third.
The third. Wait, we're doing that instead of the regular podcast, yeah?
Yes, it'll have to be instead of a podcast. So I
Fantastic.
think they'll soon counteract the regular podcast. So game of the Suffolk Ram.
Skazz, yes.
And welcome to episode 167 of the Randos podcast.
Well, we haven't been playing games.
Well, we have been playing games.
Or watching telly.
Some of us have been watching TV as well. As mentioned there, we're hoping that we'll be doing 24-hour podcast, hardware willing.
Oh, mate, market permitting.
Yeah. Somewhere out there, someone could donate a graphics card to Skazz, an actual, not anything really, even like an old GeForce 5200 would do.
No, you'd be so someone offered me a 960. But the problem is I need a GPU capable of running some of my hardware that's in my machine. And I need something NVIDIA 10 series or equivalent.
Yeah, so you need something pretty nice.
Something reasonably modern. And, everyone is sat there praying. They're sat there looking at their GTX 1060s. And they're like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. Or they've got a card that's in that kind of range, please don't die, please don't die. We're in the middle of a global graphics card shortage, please don't die. And I'm the unfortunate bastard that has had my card fail during a global fucking chip shortage.
Yeah, and you've got the newer PCs as well.
It's just not fair. And here's the trick, right? I've managed to get hold of both of the current gen, or as everyone keeps calling them, next gen consoles, for the same price as what my graphics card would have cost if I bought it in this current overpriced market.
A solution for you, Skazz. Given that your consoles are basically a PC, open them up, pop the graphics card out, pop them in your PC.
That'd be wonderful if they weren't all mashed together on the board, mate.
I'll get a hacksaw on it. It'll be fine.
No.
You can solder, can't you?
Mate, it's a single chip. What do you want me to do? Pull the entire socket?
Yeah, solder some traces in. I'm sure you can
buy some fucking traces. It's like, yeah, mate, just get the old saw out. Just, desolder all of that bit. Just, get the glue. Just stick it on there. That'll be fine.
I'm sure you get a blank PGI or AG, whatever it is these days, card. Just get one of those and just, solder.
Just copy and paste, mate.
Look, if 10-year-old children can do it, you should be able to do it.
If Microsoft engineers can do it, so can you. So
yeah.
No.
It's how they call the children now.
Yes. That's pretty much if you look at their design department. I mean, have you seen the PlayStation 5? What an ugly beast that is.
It's very much going the original Xbox of looks like a bit of soap that's worn in the middle.
Mate, do you remember, so back in the day, we used to take the piss out of the original Xbox. The big, fat-ass thrower off of a building, 50-foot deep crater weapon of mass destruction that used to be the old Xbox, right? We used to take the mickey out of that for being so big and thick and just an Xbox, right? Then, Sony come along and go, you know what? Microsoft, hold my beer, mate. And they come out with this fucking giant black and white thing that's taller than any fucking TV cabinet should reasonably be. It doesn't fit in my TV cabinet. It's that big. People took the mickey out of the Xbox Series X for being huge and looking like a bin or something. And then, it was a fridge. And then Sony are like, yeah, let's make it about I don't know, 4 inches taller. Because reasons.
Yeah, well, see, they've got this weird idea that somehow that it should be like sort of the centerpiece of your room. So when people come in, they'll go, they won't admire like the artwork and stuff. They'll admire your PlayStation 5 sat next to your TV.
Mate, if it was black, I'd take that. But it's fucking white. It's this giant white, manky fucking...
Such an easy solution. I sell paint. I can sort that out for you.
I'll just get the old Sharpies out on it, mate.
Yeah.
You know, just like every other child on the fucking planet, I'll just draw a giant dick down the side of it because that's what I feel this thing is.
Hey, see, the classy thing to do is draw the dick with one of those black light pens so you can see what you put the UV light on it. That's the classy thing to do.
It wouldn't surprise me if Sony's engineers haven't already done it.
Yeah.
Especially,
who knows what secrets are raised.
Especially given the way they're handling this generation. Right, just a quick spoiler alert for folks. If anyone would like my opinion, which you don't, on which console is doing this gen better, it's the Xbox. Unpopular opinion, I know, but it's the Xbox.
It's an Xbox slightly took over anyway. The last all like couple of gens, it's all like been the...
No, Sony completely curb stomped Microsoft in the last generation.
Yeah.
360 was ahead on the 360 PS3. Then when the Xbox One came out and they said, oh yeah, mate, you've got to have your Microsoft Connect camera connected up all the time and there's going to be always on DRM. Gamers shat the bed and Sony were like, fuck, we were going to do the always on DRM thing, but quick, let's make a video to say, here's how you share games on a PlayStation, and then you hand the disc to your mate, which you couldn't do. Or you could, after they made some tweaks to the firmware, right? But like, they became like the kind of the fan favorite. They're for the gamers, Sony, yeah. And it was terrible. And then Sony started being absolute knob jockeys towards the end of the PlayStation 4's life. And so Microsoft started gaining ground again. Yeah. And then
speaking as a PC gamer, and I've seen the outside of this and seeing people talking online, I only ever see people whinge about Sony. I see a lot less whinge about Microsoft, I must say.
Well, that's because over the last few years, Microsoft have really cleaned up their act. You know, when it came down to like cross-gen gameplay and stuff like that, Microsoft, because they were caught on the back foot at the launch of the consoles for the last generation, they started to do a bit more that was kind of pro-gamer. So, you know, like, oh, hey, you want to play games with your mates that are on other platforms? Well, we'll allow it. Sony won't, but we will. Oh, hey, do you want to fucking give us like 10, 15 bucks a month? We'll give you access to over 100 games. Right now, I think it's sitting at like 200, 300 games. Just play them. You know, if we have a new game coming out from our first party teams, we'll just put it straight into the subscription. You don't even have to buy the new Halo or the new Gears or the new Forza. We will just give it to you as long as you've got the subscription. Bargain, mate.
It is bargain.
And you've started using it on PC. They've started allowing cross-play between console and PC as well.
Yeah.
Cross-save as well. So you can move between the two.
That.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So my MechWarrior save will move between the PC and the Xbox.
I mean, it makes perfect sense because let's face it, they're both running basically the same operating system.
Yes, the Windows 10 kernel on the Xbox, on the Xbox One. But so yeah, like just Sony started to be right knobheads about it, and on the PlayStation 5, my God, right? So Microsoft are doing this generation better because let's be honest, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series whatever, I say whatever because there's an S and an X, the lower end and the higher end, right? Microsoft are doing this gen so much better in that because they are basically just PCs, they are just upgrades of the consoles that came before. They're not like completely new architectures or anything like that. It's like literally faster processor, faster graphics card. The Xbox is literally the exact same user interface that you had on the Xbox One. They haven't changed it. It's just faster, smoother. right? Sony, they were like, well, we'll completely redesign the user interface because, let's be fair, our user interface was complete dog shit anyway and ran like ass even if you had a PlayStation 4 Pro. We'll redo that for the PlayStation 5. But if you want to have a game on PlayStation 5, if you want it to be a PlayStation 5 optimized game, you must come out with an entirely new build for the PlayStation 5, apparently. Whereas Microsoft are like, nah, mate, just patch it. Give us higher res textures and we'll download the difference. So if it's like a game that came out on the last generation, yeah, just patch it, just update it. And then you can say optimized for Series S and Series X. Sony are like, yeah, mate, just give us a whole new build. Which is why apparently the PlayStation 5 only runs PS4 version of Overwatch, whereas the Xbox version has a slightly better, it's got a slightly higher resolution, slightly higher frame rate. And
yeah, I suppose it's take, but again, because they're same architecture underneath, you can take across any PC development as well. If it's
which is what I thought was funny because Sony don't do it. But here's the other trick with Sony on this generation, and another reason why I say that Microsoft are winning. Okay, so if I have an Xbox One control pad and an Xbox Series pad, which look almost identical in the grand scheme of things, and I say, right, I've got a shit ton of Xbox accessories, Xbox One accessories. It looks like an Xbox One. It plays like a more powerful Xbox One. Can I use my accessories on the Xbox Series? Yes. Sony, on the other hand, I've got a lot of PlayStation 4 accessories. Can I use them on the PlayStation 5? No. If the game has been optimized for PlayStation 5, no. If it's a PlayStation 4 game running on a PlayStation 5, yes. So, let's say you go out and buy Mortal Kombat 11. You buy the PlayStation 5 version. Well, you can't use your PlayStation. You can use your PlayStation 4 fight sticks. So this is kind of a bad example, really, thinking about it. But like, when it comes to control pads, can't use your PS4 pad. You got to use your PlayStation 5 pad.
Right. That's...
Even though it doesn't use any PlayStation 5 pad specific features.
Again, that's Microsoft generic operating system coming through the way they design. You can just see the different design philosophy. Theirs is it's actually a very PC design philosophy. It's got to be backwards compatible, reasonable, practical, and
well, yeah. But what I'm saying is the PlayStation 5 plays all of the PlayStation 4 games for the most part.
Yeah,
but Microsoft are doing it better than Sony, and that, as you say, it's a very PC-oriented philosophy. Well, you've got a more powerful card, we'll just patch it up with higher res textures, higher frame rate, higher textures.
Where you get, that's where you can see where they're applying their philosophy from. They're just like, well, it works on the PCs, let's just apply it to the console.
Yeah. Whereas Sony have decided, they're like, yeah, but we want you to buy more PlayStation 5 accessories.
Let me ask this question, Skazz. How is Microsoft making money on the console? How they? Because generally speaking, consoles usually are loss leaders. You usually don't make money. At least initially, when you first make, you don't make money on the consoles because the production costs. You're getting all the Microsoft first-party games through Game Pass, which you're paying a tenner for, so you're not paying £60 per game. And you not have to buy new hardware. Where are they making their money?
Well, yeah, obviously you're having to buy hardware as in the console, but like I'm not having to spend another £50 on a control pad, even though it's nearly identical.
It's still one less thing they haven't got money for.
True.
So where are they making their money? Are they? I mean, does the Xbox thing actually make a profit?
I'd imagine so. Otherwise they wouldn't keep doing it.
Or is it the cut? Is it a cut they take off for the third parties?
I'm going to say it's going to be a cut third parties, and I reckon Game Pass is raking them in a shit ton of cash. Like, honestly, if I had to be completely honest, I think that's where all their money's coming from in this generation.
I mean, I suppose the advantage of Game Pass is most people, when it comes to subscription services, don't bother to cancel them if they're not going to play it for a couple of months.
But think of it this way. On the Xbox, you have to have Xbox Live Gold to play online.
Ooh.
That's only about £5 on... Like, if you pay for Game Pass Ultimate, that's only, like, what, £5 more? And that's Xbox Live and Game Pass together.
Yeah.
So, if you want to play online, you have to have the Game Pass Ultimate subscription.
But then you're getting all these, as you say, brand new first-party games where normally you'd have paid, well, back in the old Xbox days, you'd have paid 50 quid for the game and then have to pay for the subscription to get online.
True. But let's say you only buy one or two of the Microsoft first-party games, though. So then you get about 100 quid out of you anyway.
Yeah.
They're getting that out of your own Game Pass.
I'm intrigued to see actually how what money they make. I mean, it clearly works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see. I suppose they also get the PC games in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Buying Games Pass, so that also impacts that as well. So, but I'm interested to see actually how they're making their money.
But then, as you say though, they're built upon the same architecture. Yeah. So Microsoft are like, well, it's not like we're having to do two builds. Realistically, it's just like a universal binary for an iPhone or whatever.
Yeah,
it's the same app on an iPhone and an iPad, just it'll come up with slightly different stuff when it runs an if statement to say what hardware it's running on.
Yeah, slightly different wrapper on it, slightly different user interface, but the fundamentals underneath is the same.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, Sony, though, I know where they're making their fucking money, the Taiwan bastards. Their control pads are really expensive. And the games? I wanted to play Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls is like 70 quid.
Oof.
Yeah. PlayStation 5 games are quite comfortably over the 50 quid mark. Quite comfortably.
Wow.
Yeah, mate. Yep. Because the PlayStation 4 games are still selling for around the 40 to 50 quid mark. So PlayStation 5, they're like, 60, 70 quid, maybe a bit more.
And your collector's editions into there, and all of a sudden...
Oh, mate, don't, because I wanted to get Guilty Gear Strive, which is the new Guilty Gear fighting game. PlayStation 5 and PC only. So it's a console exclusive as PlayStation 5. Fucking the full version, £75.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, my asshole has just literally clamped shut.
Yeah.
My wallet has just exploded. Not great, but they're both, I will say, both nice consoles. Sony is far more gimmicky than Microsoft. And I think so far Microsoft have given people a better deal. But already Sony are trying to throw those exclusives in people's faces, and I don't know, it might be working. Not so much for myself, but yeah.
It depends on the exclusives, doesn't it, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's very exclusives are fine, but it's very dependent on what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, they're one of their big flash exclusives past, which they obviously wasn't exclusive at first, and then went exclusive, then they lost it again, was GTA.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of their big ones. I knew people who bought consoles just to play GTA.
Yep.
But obviously they've lost that now. So they've got exclusives. I don't think they've got how many sort of like killer exclusives they've got. I'm not so sure. I'm not so fair on Sony and PlayStation obviously, or what their sort of killer exclusives they've got these days are. Right
now, I mean, if it's an RPG, chances are it's on a Sony system.
Is Final Fantasy still exclusive to Sony?
The Final Fantasy VII Remake is. The other Final Fantasy games aren't. But Final Fantasy VII Remake is. And the new expansion for Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's a fucking PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you have the PlayStation 4 version, no, you don't get it.
Oof. Oh, that's a bit. Oh, that's a bit cheeky.
Should be said, though, Square Enix have given away a PlayStation 5 upgrade if you own the PlayStation 4 version. But, again, if you want to play that expanded DLC that literally doesn't do anything to improve on the base game, PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Yeah, they've given up trying to pretend that they are game customer focused, haven't they? Let's be honest.
Oh, for sure. That's why everyone's been complaining about Sony the last, few months or whatever, or year or so, because they just don't give a shit. They won the last console generation. They're like, mate, Microsoft, you've got nothing on us. You fucked up at E3 all those years ago, and we got the lead. Screw you. We can do what the hell ever we want. They started censoring games, removing games from their stores, making demands of people. And I just had a knock at my door. 1 second.
Okay. Why Skazz disappears is definitely all problem nonsense. It's never going to be a good thing. I'm going to guess it's food. I'd imagine. I'll put money on it being food. Find out shortly. So yeah, don't buy a console, buy a PC. I don't say meaning that, I'm just winding to wind people up. That so looked like a food bag that went past. Our suspicions confirmed. Oh, here he comes.
Sorry about that.
Enjoying your meal?
No. So, but yeah, for someone like yourself, I'd say the Xbox is probably the better one because that's got more of the games that you'd play.
Yeah.
I don't know what Sony are playing at.
It's like they've sort of this like, okay, let's try and get as much money out of the people who are let's as much out of our game. We've got the games in our hands. People will buy us because they bought us. Because anyone with consoles is, I think for a lot of console people, and correct me if I'm wrong, generally once you've gone with a brand, you tend to stick with the brand, not so very ready jump ship. Would that be a fair thing to say?
No.
For most people, not for most people, people just happy jump between the two.
Well, again, as you say, it depends on what games they have. Because, like, as I've used it as an example before, most people I know who played Street Fighter back in the day, Street Fighter 4, I believe the majority of players were on Xbox. When Street Fighter 5 came out, they were all on PlayStation. I mean, you had to get it on PlayStation because it was an exclusive. But most people I know jump between the systems. They'll pick the system usually that their friends are on. And because crossplay has... Or not crossplay, sorry. Backwards compatibility has only really now been a thing. You just basically jump across to wherever because like you wouldn't be able to say go from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 and play your PlayStation 3 games. That wasn't a thing. So if Sony didn't have the games you wanted, you'd go over to Microsoft. Although Microsoft are doing backwards compatibility better than Sony as well, though. So yeah, or a lot of people tend to have multiple consoles. A lot of folks I know have both consoles. I have both. A couple of my mates have both. The only reason I even bother playing PlayStation is because one of my mates only has PlayStation. Most of my other mates... It started a few years ago. Most of my mates had PlayStation. Then after some time, we actually realised more people had Xbox. And so I was like, well, then my PlayStation can just go in a cupboard because there's like one person versus, say, 50. Plus, the consoles are cheap enough for you to jump from one to the other. You know, a lot of people have all of the consoles. You don't just go brand loyal one of them. Because, I mean, look at Nintendo Switch. If you want to play Zelda games, you have to buy or a Mario game, you have to buy a Switch. You know, you want to play a Master Chief, you know, like Halo game or whatever, you have to buy an Xbox. If you want to play God of War or like Ratchet and Clank or something like that, you have to buy a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Or you could be a hero and just buy a PC and play everything.
So what the fairest thing to say then in sort of so is if you had to pick between the two, unless you really want the specific exclusive on the PlayStation, you just buy the Xbox.
Right now, I say the best deal for current gen systems is the Xbox, because if you
desperately want those exclusives,
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, think about it. Let's say I wouldn't say if you're a poor gamer, but like you can get into current gen hardware for about 250 quid on the Xbox, right? Then you get Game Pass. £15 a month, right? You get access to several hundred games right there, right off the bat. You know, last gen, current gen, even some of the original Xbox games will run on an Xbox Series S.
And to be fair, that'll probably do you. To be fair, unless you desperately want a specifically new release, you're probably done for the next. That's potentially your entire console life done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. You can play all your Halo games as well, because Game Pass includes all your Halo, all your Gears. Fortnite's free on it. Valorant. No, I don't know if Valorant. What's that other one? What's the other battle royale shooter?
Overwatch?
No, that's a hero shooter. But I mean, Overwatch is on the Xbox. Yeah, fucking TF2. What the fuck was it called?
League of Legends.
No, not League. Jesus Christ.
Dota.
Mate. I can't remember what it's called now.
3.
I weren't Valorant. It was another one. Either way, like, there's loads of different games as well that are free. A lot of the big esports titles are free. You know, so you could buy an Xbox Series S and be sorted for 250 quid.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, that's going to cost you about 450 quid. So, you know, it's and then you got to spend 70 quid for games and all this other stuff, and it's just, you know, they're not very friendly.
No. It's a bigger commitment for less return.
Yes. But as I say, if I were to recommend a current gen system for someone, Xbox.
Yeah.
Cheaper games, more games off the bat that work on current gen. If you were to play previous gen games, they tend to be patching a lot of the previous gen games to have like series enhancements. So, as an example, the Yakuza series, Yakuza 6 just got a patch on the Xbox to run, instead of it being frame rate locked at 30, it now runs like the PC version at 60. They'll give you resolution bumps on last gen games, and just a better deal. It's just a better deal.
There you go. So, the round seal approval, Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, for now. And Sony's console's ugly as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we say, these things do tend to swing back and forth. So, all it takes is Sony getting a new person in charge of the division who goes, guys, we fucked this up, let's turn it round.
You'd think so, but they've been really going, oh yeah, but we do care about backwards compatibility, we do care about this, and we do care about that, and then they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just fuck them.
Fuck them. Right. Cool. So,
What have you been doing, mate?
Moving on. Well, so I've gaming a TV. So I've been playing a game called Carrion. Carrion.
All right.
What's the name? What's the name for like sort of like dead birds and stuff like crows eat? Carrion. That one.
That one.
Yeah.
All right.
So indie game. Published by Devolver Digital. It's available, and this is on your Xbox Game Pass. So I come across it.
I was going to say you're really starting to like Game Pass, aren't you?
Well, because it is. Because there's quite a good selection of stuff that is so cheap, and part of it is I'm paying for it, therefore I must make use of it. So
I suppose, but for like £10, I mean, just any game you get, if you were to play one game a month, you're getting your money's worth.
That's how I always see it. It's like it all takes is one game to play. I mean, I'm still firing up Flight Simulator and still having fun in that.
That's coming out on console soon, I think, in the next couple of weeks.
I would be fascinated to see how on earth they're going to make it play on consoles.
But you said the same thing about MechWarrior, and it plays better on control pad than it does
So-
on HOTAS.
Yes, but there's a slight difference with so many there's just so many controls, so many. A keyboard isn't
would
big
you
enough.
like me to give it a go?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right.
There's like you can. I mean, yeah. I'd be intrigued to see how they do it. So, it's Carrion. It's a horror game about a creature escaping from a research facility. Except you're playing the creature. So all those horror films where the people are like being running around screaming, being eaten, you get the people doing all the eating.
Oh, fantastic.
It's fantastic fun. It's about 6 hours long. Probably a bit more if you sort of dig in and try and find all the sort of like hidden secrets. But you start off, you are in your like little research lab and you break out your containment. Everybody starts screaming as you break out and you go running out. It's sort of like it's the motion. What I love about it is the controls are so fluid. So your creature, it's literally because it's just basically like it's like a red bally mouth with loads of tentacles.
Are you playing on mouse and keyboard just as a?
Yeah, mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
But it's pretty much it literally you only use about it's mouse is basically left and right button of the mouse, and then it's QE in space pretty much.
All right.
That's all you need.
Oh.
Yeah. There's humans. You control humans as well at some points, and then use WASD and so forth. But most things, it's literally about 3 controls to play the whole game. And it's just so fluid. It's beautiful where you move around. You literally all you do is like just click and hold where you want to go, or click and drag, as it were, and you'll just find a path to it. You'll just it'll just like throw tentacles out and pull itself up walls. You know, there's no restrictions on how far it can move. It can just like bounce around the levels as much as it likes. Which makes it feel so fluid. So you can really sort of like you can feel that there's a certain degree of it makes you feel like you're really finessed with it. It makes you feel like you're like this ultra cool, really skillful player with it. Well, you're not. It's really helping you do it. But because I'm not an ultra cool, really skillful player, but it makes you feel like I am, which is really good. That's what you want. So you can fly, and you can fly around space. Your basic controls are you literally this point the mouse, left click where you want to go, and it'll try and find its way around. It won't like pathfind per se, but it'll do a good job. So if you click like around a corner, it'll work its way around a corner and so forth. But it won't. You can't like click to the other side of the map and it'll work out to get there. It's not like point and click. You are sort of still directly controlling it, as it were.
Sure.
Right mouse throws a prehensile tentacle and will just grab. You can use it to grab switches or people. And if you grab people, you then put them towards you, then eat them. And when you eat people, you get bigger. You grow. And that is your health. So as you eat things, you grow. But as you eat people, you get bigger. And when you get bigger, you can take more damage and hits, and that's basically that's your health mechanic. So you get hit a load, just go eat a few people. You can eat the person who shot you, and then all of a sudden you're healed again.
Sounds fantastic. That's great.
It's very deliberately heavily gory, but in the same way that Hotline Miami gore, because it's a 2D side scroller.
I was going to ask you about how is it like in space? Is it 2D, 3D, whatever? Because when you said like you've only got access to a couple of keys and
Yeah, 2D side scroller. Think Hotline Miami, but not bird's eye view, side on.
Okay.
And in terms of sort of gore and so forth, that's what you saw level because you all just like rip people apart. You can grab people, just throw them across the room, or like this. I like this occasion. I just grab like someone's been annoying me. I just grab them and just bang them between the walls back and forth, like a little like bam, 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 bam.
That's
bam,
cruel,
bam.
mate. That's cruel.
It's cruel. It just plays so well. As you work your way around the base, you will come across other DNA caches, and you will basically break them in, and you can then get upgrades. So one of the early ones you get is like a stealth upgrade, which makes you go invisible.
Stealth
you can also
upgrade.
You can also get a web upgrade, which allows you to fire webs at people and sort of pin them down, which I didn't actually find that was that useful. But what it can also do, you can use it to like fire switches and so forth. So level structure-wise, it's fairly open-ended. So it's like lots of sub-areas of this base, and you've got one big like overall world like hub area. And you've often described Castlevania style games to me, and I suspect this is just not quite the same but similar. That as you upgrade things, you can go back and do stuff that you couldn't do earlier because you've now got a new ability to do it.
Metroidvania style.
Metroidvania, that's it. What I mean, Metroidvania style. Yeah, I imagine it's similar to that in some ways. Not I haven't really played any Metroidvania games. I can't really comment for sure, but it's how you described it. That's what I felt like when I was playing it.
Sure.
You could bounce back and forth. So you upgrade your monster. Your monster eventually gets humongous, up to humongous, and it's just so fun. You're basically your goal is basically to escape. You're in this base, you've got to escape. So initially enemies are going to be just civilians who won't hurt you at all. They'll just run scared, and you can just eat them. They're basically a health pack. It's really all they're there for is a health. So occasionally I did find myself like, oh, this room's for the civilians. I'm just going to close the door so you guys stay in there, and I'll come back to you if I lose some health.
Wait, so does it remember NPC placement?
Yeah, it remembers everything.
Oh wow!
And also one thing I really like about it is when you jump between screens, if you throw somebody between screens, it knows, and when you go there, they'll be there.
Oh, so it's not a continuous screen then. It is literally you walk into an area, screen, cross that border, it will then load into the next screen.
Yes and no. So some screens are big and you won't be scrolling to get around the area, but every area is split into one.
It's a per room scroll then.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. It seems to be more based on overall size of the area that they tend to split it up.
Okay.
But it's like each area's got like sort of 20, 30 sub areas, but obviously the game must seem as a whole map because if you drop something like down a lift shaft into the screen below, it'll be there when you go down there. So it must see the whole map, and you'll just see bits of it. So the basic goal is in each of these areas, there's about a dozen levels or levels of it. You have got to find these like little like nodes where like your affection is spreading, and when you interact with them, that becomes your save point. It also regenerates your health.
Okay.
Or to a certain, let's say, it doesn't go always to the top. When you're full big, it'll just generate your health a lot. And that will basically unlock like the exit door. So the early doors only have require you to have three of these nodes,
okay,
as it were. And then once you do it, you can unlock the exit door, you can get out. Later levels require up to 6.
Okay.
So to find the hive, unlock the exit doors, and then you get out on back into the sort of main area, back to your main area. Some levels have multiple exits, so you have to find alternative other nodes to sort of unlock and get further out, and that's where your going back mechanic does. I mean, it's a fairly fast paced. It's not, I would say, a particularly tricky game. There was only a few bits that I found a bit challenging, but they're very few and far between. And I think the most I ever took was about 3 goes to get through an area.
Okay.
3, maybe 4 goes. So it's not a particularly hard game, but it was fun. And really, that's all I want from a game. Is it's fun. I don't care if the game's fairly straightforward. If it's fun, I don't care.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So it's fun. The map. I will say the maps are a bit samey. They don't feel like you can tell which ones are early levels, which ones are later levels, because the early levels feel very similar. As you get later on, you can see where they sort of like try to sort of stick a bit more to the theme. It feels a bit different.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say it's no. I would say it's not, but it's definitely a game that you. I mean, I said I went through it basically in one afternoon. I played for the whole thing in an afternoon, start to finish. It took me about 6 hours.
Oh, mate, I wish that was one afternoon for me. I wish that was one afternoon.
Yeah, no, but I enjoyed it from start to finish. I was enjoying it all the way through, and once you get sort of the once you sort of obviously the move, it's so easy to pick up the controls, and you will find yourself just bouncing through an area, grabbing enemies, throwing two enemies against each other, putting them around corners and throwing them to water. It's just so fun. As the enemies get tougher, so you've got your basic guards. You've got guards that have like more advanced guards. You have like machine guns and flamethrowers. They've also got a shield, which will stop you charging at them. It will stop you like firing your webs at them. And that basically blocks you. So you have to sort of like catch them and almost ambush them to get them.
Okay.
And those guards you can't eat. When you'll try them, you sort of spit them out. You can't eat those guys.
So heavily armored.
I'm assuming that's the idea. They're heavily armored. You can't eat through them. Is what I'm assuming the idea is. There's robots in it as well, like little like drones that come out after you.
Can't eat those. I take it.
No, you can't eat those. There's like mechs as well that come after you. There's sort of like sentry guns, all sort of usual stuff. But it's really fun, and there are bits where it's like, how do I get past it? And the answer is you don't get past it. You think you can, but you don't. You have to go buy an upgrade. There's lots of bits like that in it as you go along. But yeah, I found it incredibly fun. Definitely a recommendation, as it's on Game Pass, so it's free on Game Pass. And I think its normal price is about 16 quid. So not horrendous.
That's all right for that amount of time for an indie, yeah.
What it is, I think actually for what it is, I think it's absolutely fair. I mean, there's no real sort of, the plot's all inferred. There's no real sort of idea what the plot actually is, because there's no sort of real text or speaking it at all. It's all just occasionally you'll come across like one of those things that the sort of the dot matrix displays of the scrolling text that you used to get like in doctor surgeries and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Occasionally you'll come across one of those will give like very basic hints and so forth. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun. It's something about being a really, really nasty monster and sort of hiding in wait around the corner. Like, I'm about to rip this guy head off when he comes. I'm just waiting for him to get a bit closer, and then I want to poke out, rip him off, and jumping out of vents at people and all, like ripping the sort of mesh from underneath them. If they fall down, you just drag them away as their friends see it. It hits all the sort of horror movie cliches, but you're the monster. It just works so well.
Is it on other platforms? It's
on Steam. It's on Steam, I know that much. I don't know if I think it might be PC only.
Oh, okay.
But don't quote me on that. I have a feeling I think it's a PC game on the Xbox Live one, so I don't know if it's on other platforms.
Oh, okay.
But it's definitely on Steam as well. So if you don't want Live, you can get it on Steam. I don't know what price is on Steam, but it's on there. Yeah, definitely a thumbs up from me.
Excellent.
So cool. And the other thing I want to talk about is a TV series. It's a Netflix live action series.
It's never a good sign.
This one's all right actually. It's based on a manga. However, from what I've understood, there's never been an anime of it. So it's not one where they've took an anime and turned it live action. It's just they've never been one. I think there's been a film at one point. But it's called Alice in Borderlands. Or Borderland. Sorry, not Borderlands. Because I always say Borderlands based on the computer game, but it's not. It's Alice in Borderland. And it's about these set in Tokyo. And it's these sort of three friends. And they are sort of like very young, late late teens, maybe early 20s sort of age. And they're sort of like, they're at a stage where sort of what they're going to do in their life. They sort of go and they're basically, one sort of skives off, one gets kicked out of his house, one sort of skiving off from work, one gets fired. So they all decide, fuck it, let's just go have a day out and enjoy ourselves. So they go out and they go high, and one of the things they do, they go and they sort of like cause a bit of carnage in the middle of Tokyo and go run and hide in a public restroom. And then everything suddenly all goes quiet. They come out and they find Tokyo is completely abandoned. There's no sign of anybody anywhere.
All right.
The whole place is empty. They're not sure what to do, and their first thing is like, this is kind of cool actually. We've basically got the run of the place. And they're trying to work out what's happened. Has there been, an earthquake drill? They just don't know about it. There's what's going on. So it's all like exploring, looking around, checking, finding work what's going on. And then they just see all of a sudden lit up on a big screen. It says, "This way to the game arena." So they make their way there, and they find themselves outside what seems like a normal building. And they go in. There's some all their electronics are pretty much dead. None of them work anymore. They've got no sort of communication whatsoever. And they get to the building. They find there's like sort of mobile phones set outside, like on a little table just outside the room. They pick them up. A couple other people turn up as well. A couple other characters arrive as well, and sort of like make their way in. And what they are, they put these phones up. And it then says, right, registration is now complete. Time to begin the game. So they go into the first sort of area and they have to like sort of puzzle their way through it. And it's then when they sort of like think they know the right way to go, one of the other people then just tries to open. Basically, they're like in a room with two doors. They've got to pick which one to go through. And this person just picks the door, walks through, and just instantly gets killed.
Oh, fantastic. It's one of those then.
Yeah. So basically, they're in a world where the games are deadly. And they have to win to decide they have to win. When they win a game, they get what they call a visa, which is for a certain number of days. And how many days they get is based on the difficulty of the game. So games are rated in difficulty from 1 to 10, and then it's represented by playing cards. And the different suits of playing card represent different style of games. So I think there's like games of skill, there's games of mental ability, there's one called Hearts, because they're the nasty ones, because they basically are psychological to basically turn you against everybody. They're designed to basically rip you to pieces and destroy all your friendships. Of course, you tend to form friendships, and if you're in this situation, you're going to meet up people, you're going to tend to form friendships. Hearts are designed to basically rip those apart.
Okay.
And basically hate each other. So they have to basically plays a series of these games, and he has to sort of work his way through. It's a very gruesome series. Lots of people die in very nasty ways. It makes me think of. Have you ever watched the film Cube?
Yes.
Makes me think a little bit of like that.
That film sucked ass.
Oh, it's a shit film, Cube. I won't deny that. But this is actually quite a good series. That's all idea. And every game is quite different. There's some sort of nice ideas. Every game sort of is different the way they work and so forth. They've really sort of made a bit of change. So, like the second one they're playing tag, and it says avoid the tagger. The tagger tags you with a Mac 10 machine gun,
right?
And so you have to avoid them. And they sort of like trying to work out what's going on. They're trying to work out what this world is, where they are. Also, if they get injured, they've got to try and deal with it. Because they only get like a few days to live before they have to play the next game. Because when your visa expires, if you haven't played another game by the time your visa expires, you just get killed. What I like about it is that obviously it's sci-fi. There is some sort of ethical elements to it, but everywhere they go is very logical. So when they're there's no sort of like fancy. Everything is doable. In the real world, as it were, everything is presentable and could be done with perhaps for little tweaks here and there, few little bits. Like when they're playing the tag game, the building layout is logical. There's no like sort of weirdness to it. There's no sort of like, oh, the first way he gets at the first building is he knows how big the building was. He's able to work out where the rooms must be based on how the size of the building. So it's no sort of weird extra style geometry and they sort of throw him off. It is sort of logical. So it feels like it could be an actual real thing, which I quite liked because it's sort of like it's sci-fi, but it's fairly grounded.
Yeah.
In a weird way to describe it. I say it's based on a manga. This is based on sort of the first half of the first season. And they sort of, as time goes on, they meet other survivors. There's actually quite a lot of people who've been in this other Tokyo who are there.
Question, because I know you said it's based in Tokyo. Is this Americanized live action or one of the...
Oh, no. It's made in Japan.
Okay, cool.
It's an actual Japan. It's Netflix, but it's all made in Japan. Or you can have subtitles or dubbed.
Okay.
It's actually Japanese made. I think Netflix basically funded it, but it's all done in Japan.
Sure.
So I watched it dubbed. The dub's pretty good actually, but you could have it subbed as well. So it is actually a proper thing. Which I've never seen many sort of Japanese sort of live action series. It's very weird to watch one.
I have. I've seen tons of them.
Yeah, well, I haven't. So it's very weird to watch one all of a sudden. But yeah, it works. Yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. I think I've binged it in like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you about. I think it's 11 episodes in the first season. But yeah, very nice. It's fairly recent, very nice done. But I really enjoyed it. And it basically it gets about they've set it up for the sequel. I think it's going to be one that the way it's set up feels like it's going to be like a 2-season job.
Sure.
And they're about to finish it off because I'm not sure where they could go after the second. How far they got in the first season, I don't think they could stretch the second. They were to make it like 2 or 3 seasons afterwards.
Sure.
But I haven't read the map, so I don't know. But yeah, really enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Right. That's actually me, stunt Skazz. Unless there's anything for yourself,
mate. I got nothing until I can get a functioning, PC or deep wallet to pay for PS5 games.
well, fingers crossed. So technically, our next podcast will normally be the 3rd of July. However, that currently planned is that to be our Trophy live stream. Although we're not quite sure how we're going to do it yet, due to hardware issues. We'll have to figure something out before 3rd of July. We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah.
Not on the day. Like we normally all figure something out.
I was going to say, that's normally how it goes, is it not?
Yeah. Like, so we've got to do Traverse Days, guys. What should we do?
I don't know. Fuck it. Just go for it.
Just go for it. Fine. We'll do it on a Raspberry Pi. It'll be fine.
Let's be fair, right? So just think, last 24 hours, I was having hardware trouble as well.
Yes. It's this one you buy AMD and that's your problem, you see, buying AMD.
Oh, I love how you say that, except that had nothing to do with AMD hardware.
I don't care. Still buying AMD.
That's because you're an Nvidia shill, so go suck a cock.
It infects your PC, AMD. It just infects
boo. Even though it's more like AMD have more powerful silicon every step of the way now.
How's your AMD graphics card, Skazz?
I mean, you mean the one that got killed by the faulty power supply?
Yeah, how is that? How's it doing?
I'll tell you what, I'll go run some dodgy fucking voltage through your graphics card and we'll see how that holds up too, huh? Because I'm pretty sure Nvidia fails too.
We'll see. If it wasn't for that I need my graphics card, so I don't know how you could live without a graphics card at the moment. I can't need it. I would let you do that, but I can't need it.
Yeah, see, coward.
No, sensible.
No, coward, because you seem to think that your brand is superior, knowing full well the same fault works.
No reason to take a unnecessary risk, is there?
Oh, boo.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry, Skazz.
Coward and a shill.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Ram, but I hate...
I'm going to say this, right. If I'm a shill for Nvidia, where the fuck is my money? They've not paid me yet, and I want my fucking money.
Because that's all you ever do. Oh, mate, It's always AMD. You gotta have NVIDIA. You've gotta have NVIDIA. You gotta have NVIDIA. It's like, do you? Oh my god, mate! I've never heard someone suck so much dick for a graphics card company in my life.
Yeah, I used to have AMD. I used to be AMD, and I got fed up with them, so I stopped being AMD. It's all about the power.
It's all about the power.
Not all about the power. Anyway, I'm sure you'll get something sorted.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Right then, so very much watching. So all being well, you'll see us on our 24 hours on the 3rd July, and then our podcast will resume again on the 17th of July.
Yeah.
Which is a long way away. So very much watching, and we'll hopefully see you, fingers crossed, in a fortnight.
Take it easy, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye.